Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Zach Kendall, and today we're going to be doing a mock draft for the upcoming 2025 NFL Draft. We're going to be doing the first round, so we're going to be doing the first 32 picks. But anyways, let's get into it. So first pick, we have the Patriots. This is an obvious choice here. I mean, Travis Hunter's the consensus #1 best player in college football. He's the most NFL ready. He plays both sides of the ball. I only see him playing like 10 to 15 snaps at wide receiver, but he will play majority of the game at corner, and Patriots desperately need that. So give me Travis Hunter to go first overall pick. Second pick, Panthers. I don't see them going quarterback. I don't think they're going to give up on Bryce Young just yet. I think that they go defense here because their defense is probably the worst in the entire NFL. So when we look at all the defensive players here, I think when it comes to the most NFL ready, I think it's Mason Graham. He's been at Michigan for a long time now. There's a reason he's ranked third in this entire NFL draft, and I think he is going to be a beast when he comes to the NFL. Not as good as Chase Young, but I could see similar comparisons to him when he comes up to the NFL. So give me Mason Graham to help out the Panthers defensive line. Third pick, we have the Browns. I do see a world where the Browns completely give up on Deshaun, so I think I'm going to go quarterback here. It just comes down to who are they going to draft because they have three good options and then it kind of falls off. So you have Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward, and Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur has the most hype. I think Cam Ward. I don't think Cam Ward will be good in the NFL, if I'm being honest. And I think Jalen Milroe has potential. But I think Shedeur, I feel like he will be the first quarterback taken, even if he probably shouldn't be. I think he'll be the first one taken. But, actually, I don't know. Cleveland Browns might take Jalen Milroe. I could see them taking Jalen Milroe. Yeah, I think the Browns go Jalen Milroe here. I mean, he's at Alabama. He's at one of the best schools in the entire college football. And I think that they're going to stick with a quarterback that plays in a hard SEC conference. He struggled throughout certain moments of his senior year, but I think they go Jalen Milroe solely because of his peak and what he can do when he's playing at his best level. Moving on to the Titans. Um, as much as I would want them to pick quarterback, I don't think they would. Although Will Levis has looked awful, he has absolutely no weapons on his team. He did have D-Hop, but D-Hop's getting old now. I could see them going wide receiver, maybe like Luther Burden. Offensive tackle is also a huge need. I could see them going Will Campbell. And if I'm being honest, I think Will Campbell is probably the smartest choice for them. They need to beef up that O-line. Their O-line is horrendous. Will Levis is getting rushed like every second, every single snap. And I think that Will Campbell will be able to help them out a lot. He's the best offensive line in the entire college football scene. So give me Will Campbell to go fourth pick to the Titans. Moving on to the Jets now. They don't really need wide receiver anymore after picking up Devontae Adams. But they definitely need help on the defensive interior side. And I think this is for the other Michigan defensive lineman that is a stud. We already took Mason Graham, so let's take the next best weapon. Kenneth Grant from Michigan, just as good as Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham just has slightly better statistics, and I think that he's also bigger in size. Yes, he is. So Mason Graham's taller and bigger, but Kenneth Grant has similar stats to him. Mason Graham slightly better, but Kenneth Grant's just as good, and I think the Jets get him and get a huge defensive piece when they're going to lose a lot of them next year. So they're going to need a rookie to come in and help them out. So give me Kenneth Grant, fifth pick to the Jets. Sixth pick, they desperately need an offensive lineman. Their defensive line is pretty poor too, but I think it's more so the offensive line. And Kelvin Banks Jr. is a perfect pick here. I mean, he has rose a lot since the start of the season. I believe he was like ranked 50th to start the season, and now he's ranked 13th. Since they've been playing these good teams like Georgia and I believe I forget who all they played this year, but recently they just played Georgia, and he showed how good he was. He did not get passed at all, and he's shown that he is one of the best offensive linemen in this entire draft. So Kelvin Banks Jr., he's got to help out that Saints O line. Hopefully, give Derek Carr a few more seconds in the pocket to make his reads. And so, give me Kelvin Banks Jr. with the sixth pick. Jaguars, very easy one here. Their cornerback situation is awful. They have been getting burnt by every wide receiver, probably in the entire league, and they've been giving up too many points. So, give me the best corner in entire college football scene, Will Johnson from Michigan. I think he's going to bring a buttload of talent to their team. I think he's going to be their franchise corner for a long time to come, kind of like how Jalen Ramsey was. And I think he's going to bring a new culture to Jaguars. And I think that'll be good for them because they kind of need a refresh. Moving on to the Raiders. I think this is a perfect spot for Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur would bring a very new atmosphere to Las Vegas. I think this is a spot that Dion would want Shedeur to go, and I think it's a perfect spot for him as well. Shedeur would definitely bring firepower to this offense because the quarterback situation there is terrible. Gardner Minshew's not getting it done. Aiden O'Connell's not getting it done. And they just signed Desmond Ridder, who sure as hell is not getting anything done. So give me Shedeur Sanders with the eighth pick, heading to Las Vegas. Next up, ninth pick to the Giants. This is a very interesting pick, but I love it. This is kind of gonna bring back that Saquon vibe to the Giants by them picking Ashton Jeanty. Now they're gonna have a whole new explosive run game all over again, just like they did with Saquon. And I think Ashton Jeanty might actually be better than Saquon in college, obviously, not in the NFL. But in college, Ashton Jeanty is debatably better than what Saquon was when he was at Penn State. So this is going to bring very much excitement to New York, and I think that their offense is going to start picking things up once they find a new quarterback, because Daniel Jones is definitely not it. 10th pick. Um, Quarterback situation is definitely weird here since they have Tua, and he keeps getting concussions. We don't know if he's going to be quitting, but I believe he is going to play this season. I believe it just got announced that he will be starting next game. So we're not going to go with quarterback. I think their offensive line definitely needs work. Their guards and their tackles are atrocious. Um, there's not a lot of good choices here. Minnesota has a very good offensive lineman, but those Texas offensive linemen are different. I might have to go with Cameron Williams from Texas because I think he's probably the best available. Josh Simmons, he is also very good. He's been hurt though, but I could kind of see them going with Josh Simmons if I'm being honest. He has been hurt quite a bit, but I could see them going with him. He got hurt early on in the season. It is his senior year, but he was considered to be the second best in the entire college football this year. So I think I'm gonna go with Josh Simmons here. Yes, he. This is kind of one of those picks where it's like I'm surprised he got picked this high, even though he was hurt all of his final year. But I think that he's gonna be an absolute unit for the Dolphins O line, and he's finally gonna help Tua from getting hit every single play. So give me Josh Simmons with the 10th pick. Rams. They need help in multiple positions. I think that linebacker is definitely one of their biggest issues. And the good thing is that there is a very good linebacker who has a very good atmosphere around him in Abdul Carter. I think Abdul Carter is absolutely perfect for Los Angeles. I think he's the best available option for the Rams at this point. Could go corner here. Could take a risk on Benjamin Morrison or Shavon Revel, but both of them did get injured this past season, so kind of a risk to take them. So I think they take the safe choice, go after that linebacker position, and take Abdul Carter, who is considered to be the best in the entire nation. So Abdul Carter goes 11th to the Rams. Cardinals up next. definitely have multiple areas of need. It's kind of interesting on what we have to choose from here. I could see them going with a guy like Nic Scourton. It's weird because I think they might be trading Buda Baker, and if so, then Malachi Starks would be a perfect option. They have been looking for trade options for Buda Baker, so Malachi Starks probably would be a good option here because I think Buda Baker is on his way out, which is making me lean towards Malachi Starks. But Nic Scourton, also a very great pick right here. He's actually projected to go 12th, so this is a very good spot for him as well. But if we look at their overall grades, Malachi Starks with an 80. He's played 7 games, and he's been doing pretty good so far. I mean, he's on pace to do better than last season, so I think that he would be a great pick for the Cardinals. And even if they don't get rid of Buda, I'm sure they could find a way to have Malachi Starks and Buda Baker, one playing free safety, the other one playing strong safety, which would be an absolute unit to go against. If we look at Nic Scourton here, he is also doing pretty well. Not really on pace to have a better season than last year, but he still has very good stats. I think the choice we're going to go here with is Malachi Starks. He's the leader on the Georgia defense, and I think he's going to bring that leadership over to the Cardinals, who desperately need a leader on defense. And they need someone to pair up with Buda Baker if he decides to stay. And Malachi Starks and Buda Baker can absolutely run the safety position together. Moving on to the Bengals. They really need. Oh, I just accidentally picked someone. Well, okay, I guess Bengals are going to go with McMillan. Okay, well, that kind of sucks, but I mean, it's not fully off. I would have probably taken Luther Bird in there, but Bengals are going to go with Tetairoa McMillan from Arizona. He has shown throughout certain games of the season where he is absolutely dominant. He's had more dominant games than Luther Burden, but I think the difference is that Luther Burden's speed is going to make him more NFL ready than McMillan. But McMillan has had a few games where he hasn't really shown up, which I think is going to cause him to drop a little bit, which obviously he was ranked second, but we got him at 13. But I could still see the Bengals taking McMillan because of, like I said, his peak is one of the best receivers in the entire nation. So give me Tetairoa McMillan from Arizona at 13. Moving on to the Niners. Niners O-line has been kind of abysmal. I think Cameron Williams could be a good pick here, or Aireontae Ersery, or they could go corner. But are they going to take the risk on one of the injured corners? I could see it potentially, but is that what they end up doing? Receivers, I don't think they need to get a receiver right now. Quarterback is fine. LT Overton would be an interesting pick. Kevin Winston Jr. would be an interesting pick. I think they go offensive line here, though. Let's look at their offensive line grades. 66.2 compared to Ersery's 75.8. Now, Minnesota is known for having a very good offensive line, and that's led by Aireontae Ersery. And I think that we're actually going to take a hit here with the Niners. I think that Ersery is actually better than Cameron Williams, but Cameron Williams is also next to Kelvin Banks Jr., so Kelvin Banks probably takes some of his shine away. But Aireontae Ersery has just shined throughout his entire career with Minnesota, and I think this would be a huge pickup for the Niners. I mean, he's an absolute beast on the O-line, and I think he helps out Brock Purdy a lot. So give me Aireontae Ersery to help out that San Francisco offensive line at number 14. Cowboys. Their defense has looked awful this year. And right away, my first initial thoughts is either LT Overton or Nic Scourton. And if we look at their stats, 81.1 grade compared to Nic Scourton's 79.3. Am leaning towards LT Overton. Size-wise, he's 6'5", 283 as a junior. compared to Nic Scourton's 6'4", 285 as a junior. Both play in the SEC, both play the same amount of competition, but LT Overton is on Bama. He has a higher grade, better stats. I think LT Overton's a huge pick here for the Dallas Cowboys. It makes sense. They desperately need help on that defensive side. So give me LT Overton with the 15th pick to the Cowboys. Next up, Denver Broncos. And they definitely don't need help on defensive side of the ball. Their defense has been playing like one of the best in the entire league, so their defense does not really need help. But wide receiver and tight end are a huge problem for them. And I don't think that Bo Nix is really. I think Bo Nix has been awful, but I don't think that the weapons he has is making it any better for him. So they're gonna go for an offensive weapon. I think this is perfect spot for a person like Luther Burden. Although Isaiah Bond would be tempting to go with here as well. But I do see them going with Luther Burden the third. I think that's going to help Bo Nix a lot. He's going to be more confident in his deep ball having a speedster like Luther Burden. And I think that'll make the Denver Broncos a little bit more interesting next year, especially paired up with another receiver like Courtland Sutton. So give me Luther Burden with the 16th pick to the Broncos. Next up, Falcons. Immediately look at their defense. Their offense has looked amazing so far this season, but their defense has been what's kept them from being successful. So, between Mykel Williams and Nic Scourton, they're easily the best two picks for them. Danny Stutzman is also good, not Strussman. He's pretty good from Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's been kind of on the decline right now. Jack Sawyer is also an amazing pick for them, but I think that Nic Scourton's fallen down too far. He was ranked 12th. We're at the 17th pick. I think he stops falling, and I think the Falcons get an absolute steal in Nic Scourton. He's a hustler. I mean, he's very quick for his size as well, and I think that he's going to be terrifying to go up against. And he's going to bring a very good addition to that Falcons defense that they desperately need. So Nic Scourton from Texas A&M is going to go 17th to the Falcons. Next up, Eagles. Defense has been a very big killer for them. They desperately need linebackers and some of their edge rushers as well. And I think this is actually ironic, but it also makes very sense for this pick. I think Mykel Williams is a perfect pick for them. He also plays linebacker as well. So he plays on the defensive line as well as linebacker, so he can go back and forth, which is huge because those are two issues that the Eagles need to get solved. And he's from Georgia, and Eagles are known for taking Georgia players. They have Nolan Smith, they have Nakobe Dean, they got Jordan Davis. They got all those guys over there. So why not add one more in Mykel Williams? So Mykel Williams is going to go join the Eagles and the Georgia Bulldogs, basically, at the 18th pick. Mykel Williams. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks. Offensive line could use some help here. I could see maybe Cameron Williams. I don't think there's any other offensive lineman that's really in the position to go high. Not really. Yeah, Wyatt Millam, but he's not insanely good. Tight ends, Colston Loveland, I don't really see him going to the Seahawks. I see them going defensive side of the ball. Not really in need of a corner. I think they definitely go with a line. I could see Jack Sawyer here maybe. Danny Stutzman is good, but I think Jack Sawyer is better. Jack Sawyer's been playing phenomenal for Ohio State so far this season. And I feel like it just makes sense. Although Donovan Izureku has been playing amazing as well. He has had a phenomenal season. And he's only a junior, I believe. No, he is a senior. 6'2", 247, ranked 30th. So it's definitely between Izureku and Jack Sawyer. But honestly, I could see the Seahawks taking a shot here. No, I think they're gonna play it safe actually. As much as I want them to try and take a shot on Boston College's amazing defender, I think they'd go with a person like Jack Sawyer. Sure, he's ranked 27th, but it's a need that they desperately need to have. I don't think they go receiver. They have plenty of receivers. Corners, they have corners. They don't need a quarterback. Cameron Williams, I mean, they could go offensive. I guess they could go offensive tackle with someone like Cameron Williams. Cameron Williams has been not the best this season, though. 66.2 grade is not very good. He is still one of the best offensive linemen, but to his standards, he has not been playing phenomenal. So I could see them going with Jack Sawyer. You know what? Uh, we're going to go with offensive line. Their offensive line needs help. I think they can improve Cameron Williams, and I think they take I believe he is one of the best rated offensive linemen in this entire draft. He is, because he was above Aireontae Ersery. So he is rated the fourth best tackle in the entire draft, and I don't think the Seahawks pass on that. So give me Cameron Williams, the tackle from Texas, to go to the Seahawks with the 19th pick. Next up, the Colts. Cornerback is definitely interesting here. Tight end, I don't think they really need to worry about. I think that they already have a good amount of offensive weapons. Obviously, AR has not been playing good at all at quarterback. Anthony Richardson, he's been playing pretty bad this year, but I think they need to worry about getting their corners better. They could try and beef up the receiving core, have Michael Pittman and Isaiah Bond next to each other, but I think they go corner here, and I think they go with Benjamin Morrison. I mean, he's shown to be a phenomenal corner with his entire career, and although he just got injured, I mean, his stats from his 6 games he plays just shows you everything you need to know. I mean, he's only given up 125 yards in 6 games, which is absolutely insane. So, Benjamin Morrison's a huge pick here for the Colts. He'll become their new star corner over there in Indianapolis. So, give me Benjamin Morrison, the corner from Notre Dame, with the 20th pick. Chargers, tight end and D line are huge for them. D line, there's not a lot of huge picks here. So, I think the obvious choice here would be James Pearce has actually fallen down way too much. James Pearce is getting disrespected on this board, and I actually forgot that he was on here. So it kind of makes me mad because I probably would have picked him earlier. But we can't let James Pearce fall anymore. I think James Pearce is one of the best defensive linemen in the entire nation, and I'm shocked that they have him ranked 37th. So I think that the Chargers take the best player available on the board. Rank wise, it might not be the case, but he will definitely make the biggest impact out of all the players on this list. So give me James Pearce Jr. from Tennessee to join that Chargers defensive line at the 21st pick. Bucks. I could see them going with Shavon Revel here. That would make a lot of sense to me. They could also go with a dude like Jack Sawyer, but I don't see him going with Colston Loveland. I don't think he's good enough per se to go first round. If I'm being honest, I could see Shavon Revel or Jack Sawyer being the picks here. If you look at their 84.8 rating for Jack Sawyer, Shavon Revel 85.4. He got injured very early in the season too, but I think that his early success throughout this season before getting hurt is gonna hype up the Bucks. And he's from East Carolina, so he's kind of got that, he's got that pirate in him already. So send him to the Bucks, and he'll be ready in no time. So Shavon Revel, the corner from East Carolina, is heading to Tampa Bay with the 22nd pick. The Bears, offensive lineman, instantly is what I think of. But the problem is, there's not a good enough O lineman to take at this certain point. So now we have to look at defensive line. Who is going to help them on the defensive line the most? I think Deion Walker is a very good pick here. Been slightly worse than he was last year, though, which is kind of making me not want to pick him. Dante Corleone from Cincinnati, he's good, but not better than Deion Walker. I don't know. Donovan Ezraku is interesting. I don't think they go Jack Sawyer. Yeah, I think they go Deion Walker here. It's going to help out their defensive interior side of the ball. He's from Kentucky. He plays in the SEC. Plays a lot of good competition, and he's one of the best defensive linemen in the nation. Even though he's having a slightly worse season, he is very huge, 6'6", 345 as a junior, and I think that he's going to help that defensive line in Chicago out a lot. So give me Deion Walker from Kentucky to the Bears with the 23rd pick. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens, who need help on the offensive tackle, offensive guard, but like we said, there's not a good enough pick here, so they're going to have to look for other weapons here. I don't think their receivers are that good, and Isaiah Bond has fell down really far, so I feel like Isaiah Bond wouldn't be a bad pick here, just help and give Lamar more weapons, because sometimes teams will do that just because, I mean, when he falls down that much, Isaiah Bond was ranked 11th, and we are on pick 24. And Kevin Winston Jr. is a good pick here. I think they just go with the best available player at this point. Between Emeka Ibuka and Isaiah Bond, I think that Emeka Ibuka is better, even though people hype up Isaiah Bond more. So I kind of want to go with Emeka Ibuka. He's been an absolute beast so far at Ohio State. But he's also got Jeremiah Smith next to him, and he's still putting up crazy numbers. So I think that's a good sign. While Texas has sometimes struggled, and Isaiah Bond hasn't gone off every so often. Um, Emeka Ibuka sounds like a good pick here, but as much as I want to pick him, I feel like they take Isaiah Bond just because of the hype around him. So Baltimore Ravens are going to take wide receiver Isaiah Bond with the 24th pick, just trying to give Lamar more weapons that he probably doesn't need. But I could see the Ravens doing something like that. Buffalo Bills, they need help on the defensive interior and linebacker positions. This would be a good spot for Jack Sawyer, but I do see them getting another wide receiver. I still think they struggle with their offensive weapons. Yes, Keon Coleman has been playing pretty well so far, but besides Keon Coleman and their tight ends, their receiving core needs a lot of help. And I think that Emeka Ibuka paired up with Keon Coleman would be a very good young duo to have with Josh Allen for years to come. And I think that they could bring a new atmosphere there as well. So Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver from Ohio State, headed to Buffalo with the 25th pick. Next up, we have the Commanders. I think this would be a good spot for Jack Sawyer. The corners, the next best corner is probably Denzel Burke. Denzel Burke's still phenomenal, but I don't think they take Denzel. Actually, I could maybe see them do that. Um, Definitely not playing as good as last year. Last year he was a standout, and this year he's already given up more touchdowns, interceptions, and almost as many yards. So not playing as good as he was last year, but still very good nonetheless. Jack Sawyer, though, has been playing phenomenal. Been playing a lot better than last year. Sack wise is a little bit different, but everything else is amazing. I think Jack Sawyer would be a huge hit for the Commanders here. But I could see them take someone like Denzel Burke. Um, let's go with Jack Sawyer here. I think this is a good spot for Jack Sawyer. He has a very high grade, and he's been playing phenomenal for Ohio State's defense, which is, I think, they're ranked number one in the nation, I believe. So he's playing for the best defense in the league and ranked one of the highest grade wise. So give me Jack Sawyer from Ohio State to help out the Commanders with the 26th pick. Next up, we have the Steelers. Wide receiver, huge issue. Linebackers need some help. The best remaining wide receiver, honestly, I don't think he's going to be good in the NFL, but he is the best option for them at this point. Because they're not going to go with someone like Cam Ward. They believe that Justin Fields is their guy for the future. Kevin Winston Jr., they don't really need. They already have Minka. Colston Loveland, they already have Pat Fryermuth. Linebacker, maybe, but I don't see the hype around Danny Stutzman. So I feel like they go with Elic Iamanor, sorry, from Stanford. He had that huge breakout game against Travis Hunter when they came back to defeat Colorado. So that's kind of what gave him this hype. Not been playing as good as last season. You can tell by his stats. We're like more than halfway throughout the season, and he doesn't even have half as many yards as last year. So kind of a rough season for him. I hate this. I hate if the Steelers take this pick. I don't think he's going to be very good in the NFL. I mean, his size is okay, but I think this is a terrible pick for the Steelers. But I think due to circumstances, they could take Kevin Winston though, or take a dude like Donovan Ezeraku, or Denzel Burke maybe. Um, I don't know. I think they know that wide receiver is a huge hit for them though, and I'm also going off of who I could see them taking. So I'm not just picking who they should take. I'm picking who I think they would take. And I think they know that their wide receiver core is struggling, and so unfortunately I do see them taking Iamanor. He could be good in the NFL, don't get me wrong. There's a chance, but I personally don't think that he will be good in the NFL. But Alec Iamanor, the wide receiver from Stanford, headed to Pittsburgh with the 27th pick. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers. They need help at corner and defensive interior. I think this is a good spot for Denzel Burke. I think he's really going to help out the Packers' cornerback issue. I think it's going to help them from not getting scored on so much. And Denzel Burke obviously has been playing against some of the best competition. So his grade's obviously going to be slightly lower because he's playing some of the best wide receivers in the entire nation. But give me Denzel Burke from Ohio State to help out the Green Bay Packers with the 28th pick. 29th here. Um, Interesting situation for them. They need a offensive lineman. Running back situation, I mean they have Joe Mixon. I don't see them taking Quinshawn Junkins or Marion Hampton here. I think they go with the best available player. I don't think they go with Dante Corleone. He's the best available defensive interior guy. I see them going with a guy kind of like Kevin Winston. I could see. I don't see them going with Danny Stutzman. Jahad Campbell, he's been playing pretty good for Alabama. Maybe see him go there. Maybe they take a shot on Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College. That would be a huge, huge underrated pick. I think that's what we're going to go with. We might go with Donovan Ezeraku. Although Jahad Campbell is also a beast, though. I might go with Jahad Campbell, actually. Let's go with Jahad Campbell. He's projected this pick. He's from Alabama. He's an insane athlete for his size at the linebacker position, and he's just going to add a whole different level of aggressiveness to that defense. So give me Jahad Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama, to head to Houston with the 29th pick. Vikings. Running back position is definitely weak. I could see them going with Judkins or Omarion Hampton here. Guard, next best offensive lineman far down the list. Corner, next best corner isn't until Jade Barron from Texas. JT is going to be a very high second round pick. I don't think he gets taken in the first round, although he's been an absolute beast for his entire Ohio State career. Emory Jones Jr. is a good offensive lineman. I could see him getting taken a little bit higher up. Um, let's see here. I think they go with running back here. I mean, it's a pretty big issue for them, and cornerback position's not very good for the rest of the, like, no, the rest of the corners should not go first round. So I'm feeling between Quinshon Judkins and Omarion Hampton. If you were to ask me, I'd say Judkins is better. It's just that Ohio State passes the ball so much. If we look at their size difference, 6', 219 compared to 6'1", 220. So Omarion Hampton actually has the better size. Look at the stats. It's probably going to lead towards Omarion Hampton if I'm being honest. Yeah, it leans towards him by a lot. But grade-wise, it's because Quinshon Judkins does not get the ball as much. Let's see. I think they're gonna go with Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton's been the only good thing about North Carolina football this year, so I think he's been having a great past 2 years as well. He's on pace to have a similar season to last year. He'll probably have around 1,500 yards again. He'll have around the same amount of touchdowns, same amount of receiving yards, and everything. So he's gonna have back-to-back stellar seasons. So I think Vikings take a hit on Omarion Hampton from North Carolina with the 30th pick. Next up, Lions. Lions desperately need offensive line. There is a few good offensive linemen that I found lower down on the list. Like I said, Emory Jones is pretty good. Tyler Book is a great guard, and I might lean towards him as well. Tyler Book is the best offensive lineman on Alabama's O-line. He's been playing very well all season. I think he's better than Emory Jones, if you were to ask me. So I think Tyler Book's a good pick here for the Lions. 31st overall pick. They get a steal in Tyler Book. And the final pick, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, which they probably need offensive line's a bit of an issue. I could see them going O-line. I don't see them going wide receiver, although they do need help at wide receiver. I don't think Antoine Wells Jr. or let's look at the best remaining wide receivers. Antoine Wells, Kobe Hudson, Xavier Restrepo, Jalen Rose, Kyron Lacey. I see them going later in the draft. I don't see them going here. Yeah, I don't see them going receiver. I think they go with. Honestly, I think I see them going offensive tackle again. I think Kevin Winston has fallen down very far, though. I could see them just taking the best available player. And we actually might make them do that. Shamar Stewart's a great person on the defensive side of the ball. Like, if we would go offensive tackle, we'd go with Emory Jones. But I think we're just going to go with the best available defensive player. I think that they're going to try and buff out that defense even more. Actually, I'm going to take my word back on that. As much as I want them to take Kevin Winston just because he's fallen down so much, I think that they go after offensive line. Their offense has struggled this year. Patrick Mahomes has not been playing like that MVP that he has been for the past few seasons. And I think they're going to blame that on the offensive line. So give me Emory Jones Jr. here. He is a very good offensive tackle on LSU. He has been playing very, very hard defensive linemen to go up against. And he's only allowed 2 hits all season when going up against some of the best players in the entire nation. So give me Emory Jones Jr. to round out the first round. And now let's analyze the draft. Okay, so first pick, we had Travis Hunter. I think that's a very good pick for Patriots. Mason Graham to the Panthers. Jalen Milroe to the Browns, Will Campbell to the Titans, Kenneth Grant to the Jets, Kelvin Banks Jr. to the Saints, Will Johnson to the Jaguars, Shedeur to the Raiders, Ashton Jeanty to the Giants, Josh Simmons to the Dolphins to round out the top 10. Some of these guys I think I could see going higher. James Pearce Jr. was an absolute steal at 21. I think he'll end up going like top 15, but he fell on this list. Let's see. Nic Scourton fell for the Falcons. That was a huge pickup for them. Steelers got a bust, I feel like. But for most part, teams definitely got someone that is going to make an impact on their team. I mean, Travis Hunter's going to make an impact for the Patriots on both sides of the ball. Panthers' defense is going to be slightly better, at least when it comes to rushing the quarterback. Browns get their new franchise quarterback. Will Campbell's going to help out that Titans O-line desperately. Jets are going to have an extra defensive interior lineman just in case they can't get any of their older guys back. Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to be protecting Derek Carr from obviously anyone because Saints O-line has been pretty rough. Will Johnson's going to be the franchise corner in Jaguars and kind of be like Jalen Ramsey when he was in Saxonville, basically. Shedeur to the Raiders, that's going to bring a whole entire new atmosphere to Las Vegas. So that's a huge pick for the Raiders. Ashton Jeanty, the Giants. I mean, Giant football is going to be exciting again. Josh Simmons is going to protect Tua, potentially the best offensive tackle in this draft because who knows how good he would have been if he didn't get hurt. Abdul Carter is going to be an absolute unit on the Rams defense. Malachi Starks is going to pair up well with Buda Baker or become the new star safety for them if they decide to let go of Buda. Tetairoa McMillan is going to be that go up and get it kind of receiver for the Bengals. Obviously, they have the speed in Jamar Chase, but now they're going to have that go up and get it guy with McMillan. Niners get the tackle they needed with Aireontae Ersery from Minnesota. He's been the best rated, I believe, actually. I think he's the best rated, maybe behind Will Campbell, but they get a huge offensive tackle that they were missing. That was a piece they were missing in their team. LT Overton to the Cowboys. They just got another defensive weapon that they needed. Their defense has been poor this year, so I could see them going with the best available defensive player, which was LT Overton. Broncos desperately need weapons for Bo Nix if they want him to become their franchise guy, and so who better than the fastest receiver in the draft in Luther Burden? Nic Scourton, the best available player on the board for the Falcons. Their defense has sold them throughout a few games, so get Nic Scourton in there to help beef up that defense. Mykel Williams to the Eagles, another Georgia defensive player heading to the Eagles. I mean, they have the connection on that defensive side of the ball. They desperately needed another star defensive player, so they're going to get Mykel Williams who can play multiple positions on the defensive side. Seahawks needed to get their offensive line better. It's been a struggle for them throughout multiple games this season, and I think they take a strong tackle in Cameron Williams from Texas. Colts corners have been pretty rough this year, and so I think Benjamin Morrison, although he got injured this season, I think they take a shot on him because he was the best rated corner before he got injured. Chargers get an absolute steal with James Pearce Jr. at 21. He is debatably the best defensive player in the entire nation. So Chargers get a defensive end that they desperately needed. So Chargers get a huge steal at 21. Shavon Revel, the Bucks are going to take a chance on Shavon Revel from East Carolina. Plays for a smaller school, got injured early on this season, but still considered one of the best corners in the entire league, and he's going to bring that pirate energy to the Bucks. Bears are going to go with the best defensive interior player available left from Kentucky with Deion Walker. He's been an absolute unit for Kentucky, and he's going to beef up that Bears defensive line. Ravens just try to add another weapon for Lamar, even though he has like a million. They're going to bring Isaiah Bond over there. He's going to become wide receiver 2 for them. And Ravens are going to look even more unstoppable on offense. So Ravens draft Isaiah Bond. Next for the Bills, they also go receiver. They're going to go with the next best option with Emeka Ibuka, debatably better than Isaiah Bond from Ohio State. He's been lighting it up, and pairing him up with Keon Coleman is going to make a deadly young receiving core in Buffalo. And that's going to make Josh Allen hopefully go back to the way he was when he had Stephon Diggs. Next, Washington with the 26th pick. They're going to go Jack Sawyer here. They just need kind of a hype defensive player who plays hard. He's got to get his teammates hype on defense, and that's exactly Jack Sawyer. I mean, he's one of the defensive leaders on Ohio State's team alongside Denzel Burke, and I think that he would be a very good addition for the Commanders and make their defense even better. 27th, Steelers probably with the worst pick in the first round. They're going to go wide receiver, although it's a receiver that probably shouldn't go in the first round. They go receiver because that is one of their biggest struggles. And they're going to go with Alec Ayamonor from Stanford. He's shown signs of being an absolute unit, but he's also had games where he was not involved at all. So Steelers go with Alec Ayamonor. 28th, Packers. They're going to go with Denzel Burke. They're going to get that star corner from Ohio State. Like we said earlier, he is one of the leaders on Ohio State's defense, and the Packers just really need a dude like that at the corner position. So Denzel Burke, huge pickup for the Packers. 29th pick, the Texans are going to take Jihad Campbell. Just an absolute unit. He was probably the best athlete available on the board, and Texans need help defensively, so Jihad Campbell, perfect pick for them from Alabama. 30th, Vikings go with a much-needed addition at the running back spot. They're going to go with Amarian Hampton. He has been putting up amazing running back numbers. I believe he's top 5 in the entire nation in rushing yards, and he's had back-to-back good seasons, so I could see Amarian Hampton bring a very aggressive run game to Vikings, and I think that their offense would gain a lot from bringing him over there. 31st pick in the first round, we have the Lions taking Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. Just the best available offensive lineman. He probably fell down quite a few spots. I mean, there's other teams that definitely could have used a guard, and so Tyler Booker going to the Lions is a huge pickup for them because that's probably the Lions' biggest issue from keeping them from being a Super Bowl contender. So Tyler Booker, huge pickup for the Lions as they beef up their O-line. And then last but not least, we have the Chiefs with the 32nd pick, picking Emory Jones Jr. from LSU. He's been battle tested already. He is very NFL ready. Also, probably could have gone earlier in this draft. So he's going to help out Patrick Mahomes a lot and actually give him some time in the pocket so he doesn't have to scramble out every single time. But this is my draft. I mean, I think it's a very good first mock draft to do. I'll probably do this again once we have the official order, but overall, I like my list. I think it would be very interesting to see some of these players go to these places, but it's going to be very interesting to see how the actual draft goes and where people go. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I love doing stuff like this, and I'm going to start doing videos like this more. I know we just did that one college football tournament, that March Madness tournament, and then now we just did a mock draft. We're going to kind of do stuff like this more. I enjoy doing it and talking about it, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you guys next time.